Welcome to Asian Movies Recap. Spoilers ahead. Today, I will introduce you to a light-hearted and awkward Japanese comedy filled with sets of a simple routine of Japan's life and scenes of drinking sake. The main character, Sawa, is a young Japanese girl living alone in a small provincial town near Osaka. She struggles to make a living day by day and forms strange relationships with different old men by blackmailing them. Sawa works as a caregiver. The movie begins with Sawa arriving at the home of Yukiko, a tired but smiling housewife who lives with her mute son, Makoto, and her bedridden elderly father. One day, Yukiko asks Sawa for a strange favor concerning her father. She explains that old men become like babies when they get old and asks Sawa to spend a night with him. She assures Sawa that it is only to sleep next to him, with no funny business involved, and the pay is handsome. Sawa agrees to the arrangement, after which Yukiko asks her to wear his favorite red dress. This already seemed like a red flag to me, and it actually was a red flag as the old man woke up thirsty and started to moisten Sawa's face in a disgusting manner. As Sawa didn't agree to any funny business, she pushed him back, which caused him to fall on a heater, starting a fire in the room. Sawa pulls the old pervert out of the room and rushes to get help. She notices that Yukiko has hanged herself for reasons we don't yet know, with her son staring at it in shock. Now that Sawa has no roof over her head or job, she is wandering around and suddenly meets an elderly man who tries to pay at a karaoke thinking it is a hotel. This presents a nice opportunity for Sawa not to sleep on the street. The man demands Sawa to tell him what's going on, but she ignores him and takes him to a karaoke room. Instead, she orders beer and shochu, on his account of course, and they actually have a good time chatting and singing. The next morning, she learns that he lives with his son's family, who argue daily over who will inherit the old man's money. He left home intending to use up all the money, as it was unbearable for him to live like that. He thanks Sawa again and gives her some cash and his coat. He also tries to pinch her by the soft spot, but it doesn't ruin the moment. Later, we meet Shigeru Ishiguro, an elderly mischievous man who lives a carefree life, yet regularly uses tools to steal other people's bicycles and puncture their tires. By chance, Sawa sees him doing that in the parking lot in front of a supermarket, and she blackmails him by threatening to report him to the police. In exchange for her silence, she takes him inside the supermarket and makes him pay for the food she got from there. After sharing some instant noodles together, Sawa follows Shigeru to his meeting with an acquaintance. The two become close after Shigeru, who is treated coldly by those around him, finds someone sympathetic to him and approaches him about investing. Sawa overhears their talk and warns Shigeru that the guy is not his friend, but a scammer. The old man is stubborn, but slowly grows fond of Sawa while she cooks for him and pours sake. After a long time, Shigeru doesn't feel lonely, and Sawa does what she is good at, providing care. She even helps Shigeru fix his weird habit of stealing bikes and arrange the return of all of them. This felt right to him as well. As the two got closer, Shigeru told Sawa that his daughter and her family live far away. He used to work as an auto mechanic and showed her his Isuzu 117 coupe, which he has owned for 40 years. Suddenly, the scammer showed up and started to attack Sawa, as she had threatened to ruin his shady business with Shigeru. However, she kicks his ass while Shigeru runs away. This made him realize that it's time to go where he belongs, and it's goodbye with Sawa. While he asks her to leave, he offers her a ride after learning that Sawa has no one in her life and nowhere to go. So he says she can drive with him to meet his daughter. On the way, he shows that he has saved 10 million yen. However, when they arrive, Sawa realizes that it is not his daughter's house, but a retirement home for the elderly. She passes the bag with cash to the staff, and Shigeru asks her to take his treasure, the Isuzu he cherished so much. Shigeru sincerely thanks Sawa as she drives away. In the next scene, Sawa finds herself in a shopping mall, where she is cleaning herself to smell better. In the hall, she spots another old man, Mr. Makabe, who happens to be a fan of 18+ literature. Again, Sawa blackmails him by threatening to tell everyone about it. The man is shocked by this, but agrees to do what is asked, such as refilling Sawa's car gas and letting Sawa stay overnight at his place. At home, they are met by Mr. Makabe's housekeeper, Hamada. Makabe tells her that Sawa is one of his students, which Hamada doesn't seem to believe much. Before leaving his home, through a window, He notices that Sawa is taking care of his bedridden wife, Shizue, who has dementia, doesn't speak, but occasionally sings opera. In the evening, Sawa cooks dinner and tries to convince Mr. Makabe that she can stay and take care of him and his wife. Mr. Makabe furiously declines the offer and asks her to get out of his home. Sawa rushes outside and shouts that the local neighbor is a perv who likes young girls. The shouting was a strong argument for Mr. Makabe to be in favor of Sawa, and he lets her stay. He uses honorific language whenever he speaks. The details of his job are unknown, but he says that he holds study sessions with people several times a month. Now it seems he has made peace with Sawa staying over. Although the old man's interest in younger girls hasn't completely faded, he grows very fond of Sawa as she gives him and his wife daughterly care. She takes care of the house, does groceries, and makes lunchboxes and dinner. She also makes Yoshio Makabe's wife's life more colorful by painting her nails or taking her for a walk. She helps them reconnect again when she once asked Shizue, "Who is that man?" And she replied, "It's the man I love." It all looks ideal for Sawa until one day Hamada, who has lived with them for many years, gets jealous of Sawa. Hamada invites the old man's niece, Hisako, who will now take care of the old Makabes herself. Sawa is surprised by the visit, and Hisako asks Hamada if she didn't inform Sawa. Hamada replies that she doesn't bother to inform the old man's mistress. This makes it all awkward, and Hisako asks Hamada to leave them to chat with Sawa. Hisako shares that her mother also had a mental problem and that she took care of her by herself, but not in the best way. It was difficult for her, so she wished her mother would die sooner. Now she wants to repent for that by taking care of her uncle and aunt. Sawa also learns that Mr. Makabe has a progressive mental problem too. Sawa learns this when Hamada says that Mr. Makabe will not notice if his bag is empty, as he will simply forget, as he used to repeat many times that his bag must be untouched because there's very secret stuff inside. Sawa checks it and finds a cassette with her name on it, made by Mr. Makabe. Hamada said he invited her for a talk. When Sawa enters the room, it is not clear if he recognizes her. He says they can start the interview. This conversation turns out to be his memories from World War II and his thoughts on how senseless it was. Sawa asks him what the scariest memory from the war was. He answers that it was the fact that they had to kill each other. Nothing is more ridiculous than war. That should never happen again. His face was glassy, and he looked into nowhere. He no longer recognizes Sawa. Time for Sawa to leave again. The Makabe's niece comes out to say goodbye and thanks Sawa for caring for them and gives her some small cash, while Hamada says she doesn't hate Sawa. What a nice goodbye. Sawa again hits the road in her Isuzu, while listening to the cassette with her name voiced by Mr. Makabe. He continues his thoughts on life and war. He says that a war starts from a single person, but then drags in millions. Each person will still have love and hate in their life. A person, when pushed to the extreme, might have their spirit shine, overcome extremity, and awaken as an individual who will move mountains. The mountain is our collective spirit. One spirit can move it up to 0.5 millimeters, but everyone pushed 0.5 millimeters together. Even a mountain can be moved, giving a start to a revolution. He asks, do today's Japanese have this spirit? Pushing yourself to the limit liberates and awakens us for the moment, offering a glimpse of eternal light and leading to a love that protects life. Sawa takes some time in the car digesting this and continues listening. Mr. Makabe's voice continues. Modern Japanese don't know how to love. They are too busy and lose clarity, seeing themselves in a dead end, and it prompts them from helping others. As she finishes the cassette, Sawa suddenly recognizes someone on the street. It is Makoto, the mute son of Yukiko, the lady who asked her to sleep with her old man. Once again, Sawa catches him stealing food from a store but promises not to tell anyone if she can stay with Makoto. Makoto agrees. When they arrive, Makoto says his last name is different now since he lives with his father. The new house looks more like a dumpster, full of unrecycled garbage. In this garbage, they find Makoto's father, Ken Sasaki, and tell him that Sawa will stay here. Ken left home about 10 years ago before Makoto was born. He works at a shipyard and loves booze. Makoto takes Sawa to her new temporary home on the second floor, which is full of books and nearly nothing else. At night, Sawa cooks for them, and Ken hits the bottle. The day after, when he's off to work, Sawa cleans up all the trash and thinks about her life. Ken is not very fond of his son and rather despises him for not talking or being useless, but he seems to like Sawa and even tries to touch her. However, Sawa sort of tries to choke him in his sleep. But there was no need, as the man was too drunk already. The next day, Sawa goes to the city and invites Makoto to join her. Although they don't talk, they seem to spend a good time together. While eating noodles, Sawa suddenly says, "The old man who died today, a baby who was born today, we all live in the same world." These words seem to resonate with Makoto. One day, the old man gets drunk again and tries to throw away Makoto's books, shouting that he is not his son and tries to cut his hair. Eventually, Sawa comes to help and kicks his ass, pouring his booze on top of Ken while Makoto runs away. Sawa finds Makoto by the seaside and sees blood on Makoto's leg. She now realizes that Makoto is actually a girl. They look at each other but say nothing. Her mom had to fake Makoto's gender to protect her from her own sexually abusive father, that old man at the beginning of the film. We now know that her mother was not a bad person but had a dramatic life story. Sawa and Makoto now live together, and we see Makoto's childhood flashbacks when her mom first shaved her hair to look like a boy. Sawa gives Makoto her mother's dress and also finds something inside the car's tank. It is a bag with cash, 1 million yen, which is about $22,000 today. Not bad. Makoto cries over the dress, and Sawa shouts, 1 million yen. The movie ends with the two returning to Makoto's dad's home to pick up some stuff and even share a cake with the old man before leaving. Now they are set off for a new life as we see them driving away. I hope you enjoyed this Asian movie recap. Make sure to subscribe and give it a like if you want to see more of this.